Hello, Victor here, RestoreYourMercedes.com. Today is part 11, I think. So I'm starting on the front portion of the soft top. Now this is the rear portion. I still have to trim the excess material here and trim the flap and glue this piece once this is done. But that's like later, and same here. This is going to be the last kind of thing, I think. And I also want to not follow the video and cut the openings around the screws. I want to make holes, line it all up to a point where I would just screw in the material and screws, and everything will be glued together. It's supposed to hold much better, I assume, and I think. Although yes, the bar is going to hold it. There's like another rebar that's just like screwed in. Yeah, I get it, but yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll just do it even stronger for a good measure. Now the front section is unglued. This glue was very strong, actually. Although it was old, very strong. Some rust going around a little bit here and there. Well, it is what it is. It's not a new car. I don't want to put any kind of abrasives here over this rust because then I'm going to compromise the glue. You know, it would have been nice to treat it, but then it might just seep through. What I'm thinking of doing, though, I think I'm going to just grind it and I'm gonna paint it over. That's what I'm thinking of doing. Just a little grind around, just to sort of slow it down, right? The same thing happens on the other side. Yep. This just lifted up the paint together with glue, right? So the glue stuck very well. So same thing, I'm just gonna grind it a little bit and just spray it a little with paint, just in this very area, because I do want glue to stick very well in these corners so roof does not flip. I would like not to even paint this, but I think I will. So before everything is being set and glued, the paint would dry, I'll go glue over it just to stop. I'll slow down the rust. Other than that, everything is clean up front. This glue to be removed, of course. A very small amount of glue, actually. I thought they would just glue it, you know, more, but there was just a little bit of glue and stuff like that. So these bars, roof bars, also to be cleaned off glue, and that is that. I'm keeping the car here deeper in the driveway, so I don't have to have the tree is, I think it's pollinating a little bit today again. All right, next, what we need to see here is the rear bar. This bar was just cleaned off glue, and I still have to run it a few times with alcohol to degrease it. But yeah, this glue was in it pretty deep. It's like it's stuck so much. That was actually stronger than the rear section glue. And then we have obviously the material that we need to put on the table here. I'm gonna lay it down. Yes, the table is quite small. You would rather have much larger table, but it shouldn't be a big problem. This top works in the outdoors, so only thing that I want to have cleaned are actually the windows themselves. Come on, buddy, come out. Box here. That's the front section here. I'm making this video with another camera, so it might be slightly different sound. But what do we have here? Is the top, the center line. Yep, that's good. Now the biggest problem will be gluing there. The biggest thing will be gluing the rear center line. center support, the depth of it. So I got some extra material stitched in here. No markings, only a center line mark right here, but the depth mark isn't here. So I don't know how I'm going to approach it yet. Well, I know my center mark is with this center screw, the screw that's in the middle. But you have to, wait a minute, I think it has to go this way. I'm sorry, yeah, it appears to be it has to go this way. But again, so you basically have to glue it in like that, lining up the center opening, of course. But then how far do I go? Well, for that I need two hands, obviously, and I'm going to use the old one as a reference point. I'll try to measure from the stitch line to the edge, mark it, try to fold it and see, because the corners here are obviously of most importance. You don't want to see the corners flip, and this side flap also has to line up with this. So all of this distance and the corner is very important. The rear had its own points, rear section. Front section here has its own points, because once you start and glue and make this distance perfect, the front you just stretch over and just glue over. That's it, it's over. Well, although yeah, I mean, of course there's a tiny little corner here, right? So that too has to be folded in and glued on, something like that. But off we go to get it dry fitted and measurements taken and move along, because like I said, I have to get the glue to set here first, and then I'm gonna go and deal with a little bit of old glue still left. Like I said, I have to run it again. I just clean it enough so I can pre-fit it, and then before final gluing, cleaned off again and move along. All right, so this is all for now, and next part will be coming up soon. Okay, so here's another addition. I laid down the new top over the old top, front section, and it lined up extremely well. Now what I'm gonna do is I stuck these ends, and the ones that's supposed to be covered by set screws on the outside. Now you'll move this flap over, and this screw would have been visible if it's not done right. So therefore I want to leave the material about this much stretched, so there's room to stretch this over after all with a strap and cover the opening and screw that will be from the outside, from this very corner. Next is more or less centered this material. I'm going to glue it straight. I use a table line as more or less as a straight line. I'm using the center split in the table here as my center line, more or less, but it's not like I'm gluing it right at the moment, because I still have to remove it, and I'm gonna run some alcohol over the material and the rail again, because I was touching it with my hands, and I use some clamps to sort of pre-fit it, secure it, what have you. Now once this is done, before this roof goes back on the vehicle, there's two more things to do. The headliner. So headliner, I washed it and turned out to be washed out very well. Looks clean, very clean actually. The color, I washed it like 3 times. So let's see. So this flap right here, if you see the color difference, is pretty much none. So this is from the inside, so it doesn't really get dirty. Or like this one, for example, right? The front is folded inside, it's not exposed to elements. So yeah, the color came back. I'm pretty happy. No mounting points are damaged. There are 2 mounting points, one here and one there. But the problem with this headliner is this particular one is glued to the same very rail. It doesn't have the separate rail that is screwed over the original retaining rail here. So before the roof is installed, that very headliner has to be glued in from the outside, okay, if it makes sense, right? So first you glue the material to the rail bar, then you glue a little bit of the headliner, which is good. For the good thing for me is that it has the fold already, so I know my reference point. Here's the old glue. That shouldn't be a problem. It will stick regardless, I think. And there's really not much stress. Most stress is at the ends here where the screws are and the center bars that hold headliner. So that real section I'm not worried about. So that is going to be glued in. And then the spoiler, a little spoiler, you know, that rubber spoiler. Let me go take a look. Where did I put it? I think I laid it flat somewhere here. Spoiler. Hello, buddy. Where are you? I don't see it. Okay. All right. Well, I have it somewhere. I know I have it somewhere. I mean, there's no way. And this is the old top. Well, oh, here it is. All right, it was just laying there straight, right? Because the spoiler was folded in the box when I received it. So, like I said, it's kind of like you don't really need it, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, no, but I do want it. All right, so the spoiler was laying flat. So it's more or less, it's the part number if somebody's interested. (129-774-0261). That's the spoiler. Then we're going to glue the spoiler. It's gonna go that way. B. We're gonna glue the B. That is going to attack B. We're gonna glue that B in there too. Let it be. Come on, protein, go away. Jesus Christ. This protein, that. Stop, it's just, god damn. All right, so anyway, so the spoiler is gonna go in first, then the headliner over it, and then after all that, I'm putting the bead of that Mercedes sealer that's going to go in between two roofs, and then you screw it together, and that's the idea. All right, and then the rear section should be fine. I'm going to leave the spoiler here in the sun. That I have to wipe, of course. Look at this. I mean, it's all like so much residue from manufacturing process. When was it produced? 2019. All right, fine. And then this goes in first, glued in. Spoiler goes in. The headliner very at the edge, doesn't even go into the openings, glued in. And then the bead of sealant, and then installation, if that makes sense. Spoiler will be glued in as well. The openings will also be you know, just made. I use hot iron to make these holes, so I have a nice, you know, not the puncture, but nice round, like a mold, right? So, and I'm gonna be in the mercy of whoever made this top, because once I glue this thing in there, I hope it's all going to line up properly, and that's what I think. Simon, these guys. Yeah, I'm going to the store to get some more brushes, and I put these away a little bit, just cover them up. I don't want those guys. Simon, say something. Huh? No. Bees, cats, lanternflies, tree sap. Oh, well, you know, it's a fun job. But I love to work outdoors. I'm sorry, it's just I don't like to be indoors. I always like to work outdoors. I had my shop. When I had my shop back in the days, I was always working in front of the shop, right in front door. Well, obviously weather permitting. Anyway, let's continue, and next edition will be coming up soon. Okay, so here is an additional part. I finally got everything lined up, and I glued in the fabric. This glue, don't mind it. Yes, I could have been a little more careful with it, but it doesn't matter. Headliner goes over. It's not visible, so the headliner is going to cover it. It doesn't matter really. What's important is obviously this side. You cannot have any glue to bleed through, and this is the outside, right? So this is what's going to be visible on the outside of the vehicle. The set screws areas, these are covered, at the edge, I get it, but also there is a, you know, there is a stretch to be made here. These areas I haven't glued yet. See, this is just two little areas to be done at the end, and the screw is going to be covered. I have about maybe 3-4 millimeters here, 3 millimeters about to the edge, and that is enough. Same on this side here. Yeah, that's enough too, and it folds in under, and I'm sure if I stretch this just slightly, I'll fold it under as well. There it goes. As you can see, it folds under between the strap, because I want to have the strap, the elastic strap here, the tensioning strap, to go tightened up, and I just want this corner to be closed up. That's all I want, right? All right, that's that. And the distances here are pretty much okay as well. If we compare two sides, I have to make a relief cut, because this was folding in. So as you can see, the distances are pretty even. Yes, there is a bend in the rail, that's the factory one, so it's sort of like kind of starts deeper and then it comes out and it ends also, you know, like it extends and then comes in. So I'm gonna trim this off right now and move on with the prefitment of the spoiler. And before I start with the headliner, I want to prefit this whole roof, so I'm going to make openings, attach this portion to the vehicle, fold it over, see what it looks like, make sure that everything's on point, everything stretches and tightens, and then we'll move on with the rest. I actually kind of want to cut this off. I really want to. And you need a special tool. Special tool is this slider. This is very special, because without the special tool you can't really stress the glue over. This just fits just about right, because in the this edge right here you can like roll it a little bit, so it's, but yes, you have to force it, but this worked very well. Special tool is needed. Never forget special tools. All right, more parts coming up. All right, so here is another addition. I put the roof on and let it set a little bit, the glue, trim the excess, and like I told you before, well, I showed before that I made these stress marks here. So what I would do now is, because the center line and all is that lined up, I'm going to stretch this area, not like I did before, like this, right? This is a little bit too loose. If you look at it, it was somewhat like this. Now I'm going to, I pull this off, and I'm going to glue it like that. So I'm going to have this fold happen. The rest of the material is tight, so I can do this, and I can just stretch the corner, like tighten the corner just a little bit more. With the line here, I'm actually gonna go a little bit more like this. So yeah, after all, material will stretch over time, but the stress cut rather, was kind of something that I did pretty much, I guess, properly. Same story here. We're going to go a little bit like this, gonna start gluing from a tiny little edge here, and just stick the material first, stretch it, and then continue with the inside. I'm gonna use the low pack, small low pack glue, so I can maneuver it inside the area, because these things are bent a little bit, so they're not accurate. I want the opening to be available to put on this top over the side flaps of the rear section, and I want to have a little more tension here, because there will be lots of tension on this bolt right here. There will be lots of tension on cables. So then we're gonna deal with the elastic strap here, tighten this one up, because I don't want to really go over. I think I'm gonna go with elastic strap on top of the screw, just to cover this area a little more, a little stronger, and that's the idea. I do not want to unglue more material, but if needed be, if I needed to stretch it more, I can make another stress cut here and tighten another 2 or 3 inches even of the material if need be, but I don't think I will have to do that. And we only will know how it's tightened up when the frontal portion is glued on and the roof is tightened up. That's the idea, because like I said, that cut, you see this screw moved because tension is increased, so I'm gonna tighten this up a little even more, and this tension is missing, and that's that little spoiler. When I removed it, it just decided to stay on the roof. I guess it likes it. He likes the rear section more than the front section. All right, breaking the ranks, fine with me. Now this tiny little extent, you see this one, this is the tiny little reinforcement, so it's supposed to be lined up where the screw opening is. Right, so I'm gonna move this backwards slightly. Yeah, all right, like something like that. I want it to be an extra support, just like original top would have. Yeah, like that. There it goes. Same on the other side. I have to double check that, because once the roof moved, it shifted. And second piece of cloth holds, not doesn't hold, it just helps to secure, like helps to protect, rather helps to protect the roof. And I still have to deal with this little tension here. That's at the end. Like I said, these are small little things, but this has to be, well, the windows and the whole roof concaves because we have no tension here, obviously, so that's normal. Yeah, so we're dealing with this final tension, because this is the final tension of the roof with the new canvas now, not the old one. So now we have to get this thing lined up as good as possible. And I think I'm going to trim this, because I don't think I need this section to be too long anymore. I'm gonna trim it down under. I wanted to do it when I have the metal bar secured, so I have a nice cut line to go by, just like this cut. You see, I use the edge of the metal bar here to make your cut, and that's what I wanted to do. I was holding on to the very last before I will do that. Yeah, maybe I'll leave it to it, because I don't have the reference now. I don't want to cut it with no reference. This is going to be my reference, and I couldn't do it before because I guess I could, but it doesn't matter. I mean, once this is installed and screwed in, then and I have a nice sharp line to go by. Also, the reason I actually installed it is I want to create a lot of pressure on the glue, so it sets nice in this area. The holes are punctured. Let's see that the holes are there. Like I said, I use the hot iron to make holes, so they're nice and round. They're not ripping the material when you install screws through them. And again, like I said, this glue doesn't matter because this is all covered by the headliner. Yeah, could have done it a little better, but you know, it is what it is. It doesn't matter, it's not visible, like I said. All right, so I'll move along doing the corners here, gluing the corners. It will take me another like 30-40 minutes, and then I'm going to reinstall it and let it sit. Once it sits, I can start with the glue removal and that frontal portion preparation, and then hopefully tonight I'll get the front portion to glue up, so I have that tension. I'm really anxious to see how it all stretches and lines up. All right, so off we go to the next part.